All eyes on the way I vibe when I walk into the room. Wind blows underneath the soles of my brand new pair of shoes. I got the attention, I'm on a mission. No sweat in the way I step, I got a fresh new attitude. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. New look, got the ladies shook. New watch saying it's my time. These magazines wanna feature me, cause they know I'm on the rise. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. Cause ever since I flipped that switch, my power can't be denied. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. I'm there with a vision. Got a passion, making it happen. Ready for action. And this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. And this is my world now. And this is my world now. And this is my world now. This is my world now. Hey! Here we go! We coming ready or not, you better steady yourself, because we're raising some hell. There's nothing keeping this roof from blowing off. We're taking over the town, hit the switch and shut it down. Like India, we're electric, never stop. We coming ready or not, we coming ready or not. We're giving all that we got, we're giving all that we got. We're coming ready or not. We're throwing gas on the fire, the stratosphere getting high. We're trouble when
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new CLICKIT RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at CLICKIT RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
From the virtual Phoenix Raceway, we welcome you to coverage of the Northwest Truck Series presented by CLICKIT RV. Tonight we're going 175 laps around the old Phoenix Raceway, not the updated Phoenix Raceway. It's coverage of the next round of the series as the run for the playoffs continue, closing in on the end of July, approaching Labor Day, and we are excited to have you with us. Coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and on the Community Radio Network. I'm Wesley Outlet in Georgia, joined alongside is Canada's Justin Prince. We have an all-star pit crew as well, with, of course, we have a new man, James Vining from Racing for the Catman, now pit reporting. He'll give us updates on pit road. Charles Wooten is the, of course, executive producer. Director tonight is Cody Deemers. And I'll tell you what, Justin, we mentioned this on the intro. The countdown is on. If you want to make a run to the playoffs, you've got to show your talents here tonight. And this is a place to do it at Phoenix.
Yes, indeed it is. It's going to be interesting to say the very least, because it's not just the new Phoenix. This is Legacy Phoenix.
That's right.
And for a while, drivers were thinking, we might not be able to drive here again after the new Phoenix scans came out. Guess what? Everyone was wrong. And now we get to see how they drive without the use of that very wide sweeping apron to be able to cut the dog leg, because there is grass in that dog leg. And also, you don't have the notes to rely upon from even the current day Phoenix, because once again, this is Legacy Phoenix, which has a bit of different banking and very different handling configurations.
Yeah, we'll certainly keep an eye on all of this as the night rolls on. And again, all of this takes place at Legacy Phoenix, as Justin Prince reiterated on. The track is still the same, just the configuration of where the start-finish line is at the dog leg now. But this start-finish line is, of course, now at the old Phoenix Raceway down the front stretch, as it is called, the Legacy Phoenix Raceway. Qualifying is on track right now as we see Walla Walla, Washington's Kevin Smith get ready to try to put down a decent lap. Let's check in with the third member of our broadcast crew. He'll be manning the pit lanes, grabbing stories along the way. James Vining, good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening. I'm very glad to be here with you guys, and hope I can be an asset to the team.
But what are some of the things you know about Phoenix as a racer here in the past yourself, and what is the consensus of the drivers right now as we prepare for this event?
Well, a couple of them I talked to earlier, they're running a little bit tight on this track. So far, though, everybody seems to have liked the idea of doing the Legacy. That was one of the things I had pushed for at the very beginning of the season because I thought it would be fun to do without the dog leg.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, that is James Vining, who we call the Cat Man. He will be our pit reporter here tonight at the virtual Phoenix Raceway Legacy track. We now see Troy Daggett working his way on the course. And again, Justin Prince just kind of keeping up with now Kevin Smith, top of the board, 27.570. Dennis Moore, Win Racing right now. And again, it's another Win Racing Team LSRTV top 4.
Yes, indeed. And once again, that speed carrying forward that we've seen much of the campaign and qualifying from Kevin Smith with those bomb speed shop machines. It's going to be interesting, though, how the long run, I think, especially plays out here, because it's a track that's tending, in the past at least, or has tended, rather, to go long. But with it being a two-stop situation tonight, with it being such a rough racing surface to battle around with too, there's a lot of question marks on how the long run could play forward for many.
Right now, Ryan Bloom just bumps Kevin Smith for the top spot. Ryan Bloom, 27.549. He will now be the new quick qualifier. There goes Jeff Stabnow, the Billings, Montana driver in the number 24, working his way around the racetrack for qualifying. Right now in the top 15, 28.539 seconds. Going to have to really pick it up here, Justin, as we, of course, watch the final trucks making their laps here to prepare for qualification time for 175 laps tonight around Phoenix Raceway. The strategy, we could probably say the word precision banking, but honestly, this track really drives like a short track, if you will, Justin.
Well, it is 1 mile, which is the top of the limit in terms of short track configuration status in some people's eyes. But indeed, it drives like that where you have to be able to arc turn 3 especially right. You can take it a couple different lines, yes, but if you don't go too deep, or as in you brake too early, you lose up to a few tenths of a second just on that entry alone. Turn 1 and 2 here for the Legacy version of Phoenix 2. It's not so easy. If you're not on the bottom, you're likely going backwards, but at the same time, if you can't stick the yellow line without massively getting slowed down too much to the point where you possibly lose time, you have so many chances to lose oodles of time. Chris White's a good example of that. He's struggling to rotate to the bottom without really slowing it down. If you don't have the massive speed through that section, it destroys your lap by the time you get to turn 3.
Ryan Bloom, Kevin Smith, Dennis Moore, Dan West Jr., Devin West right now, your top 5. Jeff Stabnow is 6th, Toby Ritter 7th, Paulison, Daggett, Gamble currently your top 10. And we look at the point standings going in here for this event shaping up for tonight. And obviously Dennis Moore has a 27-point lead, Justin, over Ryan Bloom. Jeff Stabnow, though he has no wins, he has been consistent. 3rd in the points, 80 points back, 84 back is Dan West Jr. Toby Ritter's also with, of course, no wins, is in the 5th position. And, of course, that's the way they shake them out in the point standings right now. is looking at the point standings for Dennis Moore in that 44 machine. Obviously, continuing to look for win number 4. Ryan Bloom has 4 wins, but again, just kind of consistency for a lot of these drivers that are right now in the top 5 of the point standings, for sure.
I'd be more concerned if you haven't gotten yourself a win for the playoff situation yet, because Bloom, Moore, the West, Brightsman, O'Hare, Lowther, you just throw Gormley technically in the mix too, but might be close since he's missed a lot of races. Those are amongst the drivers you're having to contend with just for a spot. But for drivers like Stab now, you need to pick it up. If you're Chris White, you absolutely need to pick it up long term, because do you want to be in a spot where you're considering a points fight? No. And here's the thing. When it comes to that postseason run, it's coming in fast. How fast? Well, after the off week, you have a 4-race stretch in a row at 4 very difficult tracks. If you can't score points here, you might be in big trouble for when you get to either the Brickyard, north of the border, to Joliet, Illinois, or to Dega later on.
We are mobile on CRN for our broadcast coverage. Usually we have the sounds of the cars and the commercials and all of those things, or the trucks for that matter. Unfortunately, we just have our commentary. But nonetheless, we will continue to keep you updated with all of that going on along the way as, again, we get ready to set the stage for tonight's race. The field is gritting. We're ready to go for 175 laps tonight around Phoenix Raceway. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. On the pole, Ryan Bloom and Kevin Smith on the front row for row 1. Row 2 at Phoenix, Dennis Moore and Dan West Jr., the 44 and the 55. Row 3 will find Devin West and Jeff Stabnow, Team LSRTV. Row 4, Toby Ritters, Stephen Paulison with a good qualifying run of the 58. Justin Prince, your top 10 will find Troy Daggett and Christopher White with a solid qualifying run.
Just a few tenths back, a few 1,000ths back is Robert Campbell. Sean Brightsman starts off with the 12th position. Frank Harris starting row 7 alongside Dan Lowther, with Tyra Kane and Brett Johnson way back in the field, 15th and 16th. Chris Kine is the final driver to take time tonight, and several drivers took part in final practice. However, they're amongst the drivers not here, in fact. Kenneth Garber, Chris Camary, Carl Burke, all not at the facility, meaning we have a 17-truck field, one of our smallest grids, in fact, all season.
Yeah, 17 trucks, definitely. I thought we had 20 locked in, but 17 have committed to take the green flag. Here's your Kaufman Creative weather conditions. Air temp is 75 degrees on the virtual Phoenix Legacy Raceway. Wind speed at 6 to 5 miles an hour. Track temp is 4 degrees warmer than the air temp at 79. I got a feeling, though, James, Vining, back to you on the pit lane, that track temp, though, is going to pick up as this race progresses and the field rolls behind the pace car. Okay.
James.
I guess James is getting a pit report, or he's off doing something, so we'll check back in with him here in a minute. But as a driver analyst and pit reporter, I wanted to get that take on it. But yeah, Justin, as we get ready for the green flag, obviously I really believe that track temperature is going to pick up as the race progresses.
Yeah, it's going to be very critical to be able to keep yourself clean, but also maintain the track position. So difficult to maybe make your way through the field fully at Phoenix, and you really do not want to be in that spot where you destroy your tires long run. Going to be interesting how we play things out as we get ready for the green.
Round number 17 here at Phoenix Raceway. Pace car drops onto the pit lane. Here comes the field into the Geico restart zone for the initial start. Green flag goes in the air, and we are 175 laps of racing in Phoenix. On the jump, it's Ryan Bloom. He'll now have Kevin Smith in tow to the outside. Here comes now West and Moore. They work their way to the dog leg off turn 2.
Bloom clears himself through to the dog leg. Kevin Smith crosses up to the inside. Bloom hard through 3. Sends it up to the third line. Shifts up to third gear. Kevin Smith rotates the bottom as Dan West Jr. looks for second. Ryan Bloom leads the opening lap.
Field crosses the line, as Justin Prince mentioned. Lap number 1 on the board, 174 to go. Ryan Bloom, the leader. Here's Dan West Jr. He's got Kevin Smith in tow to the outside. Dennis Moore now watches all this going on as they work off the dog leg to 2.
Up in the wall goes Smith, and through turn 3. Slides up the track. Goes back to third. Dan West Jr. takes second, dropping Smith to the third position.
Working their way again off that corner down to the start-finish line. Again, Ryan Bloom quickly jumping out to the early lead in that 25 machine. We now see Devin West and Jeff Stab now. They're going out into the top 5 out of 2.
All the drivers sorting themselves together. Devin West looking to sort to the inside. Backs up the corner. Watches as he looks to time it up. Dan West Jr. times up the diamond off 4. Looking for the lead down the front straightaway. They're side by side.
Working their way again off that corner, down the front straightaway, still opening laps, send away in the handful about to be completed. Dan West Jr. now clears around Ryan Bloom. He'll go to the lead as they work out of 2.
Dan West Jr. looks to set away. Fastest truck on the track of the early going. Bloom sets up for the long run as West Jr. sets up for the hightail. Kevin Smith under pressure out of 4 meanwhile for the battle for third out of 4.
Working off turn 4, back to the start-finish line. Dan West Jr. now almost a quarter of a second lead over the driver, Ryan Bloom. Then it's Kevin Smith and Dennis Moore. We're looking now, watching this battle between Devin West, Jeff Stab now, Paulison now in this mix trying to close in as they work off 2.
Stephen Paulison has had an up-and-down campaign with aerokinetics so far. Right now amongst those, running solid on tempo. Not been close up to the gap fully yet. Devin West down the front stretch, looking for the cross-up, looking for the top 4.
Working his way off of that corner out of turn number 4 down the start-finish line and back into turn number 1 and 2 again. Dan West Jr. now continuing to open up that margin. Here's now Devin West and Dennis Moore. They continue to battle side by side as they work into turn number 3 on lap 5.
A drift up from Devin West. Dennis Moore with a bit of a pinch out of 4. Both rev through third gear. Devin West keeps it steady at the line. Up to turn 1 they rumble with Devin West just about clear.
Devin West half a truck length out in front. Dennis Moore now back to the outside. That's the battle that's going on now for the 3rd and 4th position while this goes on. Dan West Jr. continues to open up the lead of half a second, if you will, now on Ryan Bloom. This happens as they work again off turn number 4.
Lots of shuffling amongst the pack as Devin West makes the pass. Keep in mind the battle's still heating up across the field. Amongst those, Troy Daggett looking to pick up spots in the 11th spot. Frank Harris inside near contact out of 2.
Bill works their way again off the dog leg into turn 2, down that back straightaway, if you will. Dan West Jr. now, the new man up in front. He now has about a half a second lead on Ryan Bloom. Ryan Bloom and Kevin Smith battle. Here comes another battle between Robert Campbell and the driver, Dan Lowther. This is in the top 15 for 13th and 14th spot as they flash across the line and funnel back into turn 1.
Long in through 1, Campbell clearing forward. His Chevy looks to run ahead. Lowther in the Ford. Looking to gather ahead. It's been a quiet time for Lowther since that win at Atlanta earlier this season. He looks to get into the rhythm early going. So far, though, the long run pace already seen fall from 4/10.
Getting ready to put 10 laps on the board next time by. 165 circuits remain. There's a little bit of a view on board to show you what it's like as far as banking-wise with Troy Daggett of the 99. Watching as he drives through the dog leg down the back stretch. There he exits off the dog leg going to turn number 3. It's not a banked racetrack, Justin Prince, but there is a little bit of banking, and I think that will make it very interesting to see who wants to try to stay on the top or stay to the bottom committed as they work back to the line.
But the major thing is in turn 1 and 2, it is a little bit more different in the modern version with how the progressive banking is, but not too different. That being said, you still want to be on the bottom. You can pinch a bit from the top, but it's not as easy. 3 and 4 is where you can make both lines really work. And that's why so many drivers sometimes go all the way to the 3rd line in some of the cars, where they try and use that speed outside, bank it off the corner, and make a pass like Dan West Jr. did earlier on in this run. It's difficult to do, though, as the race goes on. 7th, meanwhile, Stephen Paulison nearly contact with Chris White to the dogleg.
virtual Avondale, Arizona, Phoenix Raceway, the Legacy track. Now, the track has not changed. They just changed the configuration of what today's version of Phoenix is to crown the NASCAR playoffs champions in the race of the season ending at November. But right now, this is the old track. A lot of people actually like this racing surface, and it's really cool that iRacing still keeps it going. Dan West Jr., Ryan Bloom, Kevin Smith, Devin West, Dennis Moore, top 5. They're off into turn number 3.
Working around the outside, Clifford uses the third line. He brings Brightsman and Daggett with them. Inside for Paulison. Out of turn 4, Paulison doesn't have the grip. Brightsman pushes Ritter's clear down the stripe.
Working their way off the corner down into turn number 1. Again, here comes now the Toby Ritter's machine. Solid drive in the top 10 for him as he clears by Sean Brightsman and Troy Daggett. He'll now set his sights on Christopher White and Jeff Stabnow. They're in his view as they work again into turn number 3. Now Daggett after Brightsman and Ritter's as they work into 3 and 4.
The 1-5 Studios machine looks to use the top line. Gets lined up with Brightsman's bumper. Off the 1, tries the arc, can't get the arc fully to the yellow line. Brightsman taps the yellow line in front, however. Ticket forced to check up as they work to the dog leg.
Back to the dog leg now, back to the back stretch, halfway through there, the third turn. Working now lap number 15 of 175. It is still the man out in front of Dan West Jr. There you see him now. The lead is almost a half of a second back to Ryan Bloom. Ryan led a couple of laps earlier in the race, but not now. He is watching the leader of the 55 work his way through the dog leg in 3.
So far, their tempo in the 28.7s. Most of the field starting to approach the 29-second bracket. Jeff Stabnow still playing the defensive marks. Christopher White looking to be a little bit on the aggressive motion. His orange, black, and white truck looking to get a little bit of a cooking motion forward with that barbecue sponsor.
Yeah, nice looking machine there for that driver, of course, watching Chris White try to run down the driver of Jeff Stabnow. And honestly, Justin, let's let our audience know on radio and television, you're literally in the opening stages of this race. We don't have stage racing like you see the regular National Series do. It's 175 straight green flag laps, but obviously you got to pace yourself. I think these drivers right now are just trying to figure this racetrack out and figure their truck out here in the opening 20 laps of this race at Phoenix.
And that's the major thing. As a bit of a bobble from Dan Lather, these drivers, once they get to around lap 20 when it comes to Phoenix, you get past that short run shine. You start to get that mid-run speed where the true pace of the truck settles on in. It's tricky from that point forward because that's around that fall-off band that was discussed prior to today's action, around that 1-2 second mark. And that's where you also find out, did I over-push the truck? Did I get a bit too confident on the pushing of the truck? Did I underutilize the truck? And now do I have to make up 7-8 seconds? There's a lot of questions in that regard on what you're going to feel for the truck. And keep in mind, you also have to think about, too, the potential of adjustments, too. Once you get to that pit stop situation at the back end of the run around lap 75.
James Viney, let's go down to you on the pit lane. I mean, are we correct on that strategy? Obviously, in the opening 20 laps, you're just kind of riding and driving right now. What's your take of the opening race here at Phoenix?
Yeah, pretty much. From what I'm seeing, actually, it looks like some of the trucks are running a little tight. I don't know exactly how much fall off they've got so far, but if it's more than, like, I'd say a second or so, I would say some of them are definitely running tight.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that right now as we're 20 laps into this event. So far, clean and green. Thank you, James Vining, for that pit report update. As, again, it'll become a flurry of activity whenever we do get a caution or if we do see green flag pit stops. And obviously, JP, if we get green flag pit stops, that throws a pendulum in all of these 17 trucks that are on track right now.
Exactly, and it's so difficult to be able to pick the right time to come in. Even, yes, you can run nearly 80 laps on the gas. Could potentially get close to a one-stop, but not close fully because unless you get a caution the next 5 laps or so. However, The major thing I think you have to think about, too, when it comes to how you play out this race, too, is if it ends up staying green, do you risk coming in the early part? Because if one of the most frequent times for caution at Phoenix, at least in my experience over the years, is in the middle of a pit cycle. Because you have fresh tires nearly getting into old tires, or the drivers on old tires reaching their limits and spinning around. You don't want to take the time too early to come in, or rather come in too early, and you get pinned a lap or two at a track like Phoenix, and you don't get back in contention till late.
Yeah, that's a great observation for sure, definitely. Let's get an update on pit road. Let's check in real quickly with some of the Win Racing drivers. James Vining, what you got for us?
Yes, when I was talking with them earlier, they were shifting, and so they were running a little different setup than what I was, and they were only getting about 75 laps per fuel run. So it definitely, if they're shifting, will definitely cut back your mileage.
All right, thank you for that update. That's going to be something we definitely got to keep an eye on. Of course, they were getting 75 laps on that fuel run, as James Vining mentioned. You cut that in half, that's about 75 laps of 175 laps to settle in for 100 laps to go. And then honestly, Justin, I don't think that if we don't get a caution, you're going to have to then pit again in strategy-wise, because you've got another quarter of laps distance, 100 laps remaining, if we do see no cautions in this race so far on lap 26.
Yeah, but it's such a big equation to discuss things and think about things. It's so tricky to plan it out at Phoenix. You're basically hoping for the long run, because again, this is a track and a layout, especially since there's no dogleg to cut through, that will trend long run. One of the major trigger spots for the modern day Phoenix, and even when the dogleg version of that configuration was available prior to the change in the start and finish line location, what most frequent place for crashes? The dogleg. You don't have that here today, so you basically have to stay in the line and wait for the right opportunities to pop up. You can't just dive and cut the track as much as possible, then dive underneath the yellow line through turn 3 and try and bully your way for a pass. It's not that simple here.
Approaching 30 laps into this 175 lap event since the drop of the green flag. We saw a couple of times of Kevin Smith lead. We, of course, saw Dan West Jr. get around Ryan Bloom after he led for about a handful of laps, and all the while, everybody just kind of mired in the back as we watch now Sean Brightsman try to run down Toby Ritters, and now he's under the gun with Chris White, Troy Daggett, Dan Lowther flanked to him as it's a 5-truck battle going on in the top 15 into 1 and 2.
Brightsman wanting to get the long run speed going, nearly hits
Whoa!
White, slide to the grass, keeps it out of the grass, loses all the spots. Sean Brightsman with a major save. We stay green as Toby Ritters, Chris White, and several others able to avoid major contact.
We'll stay green flag, but my goodness, that could have been a big problem for Sean Brightsman, the Puyallup, Washington driver, now from Tucson, Arizona, just about an hour away from Phoenix. As he comes onto the pit lane, we got one truck on pit road. Chris Kynes in the 20 is on pit road, the gear wrench, number 20. Pitting early. This is definitely James Vining, an unscheduled pit stop on the 20 truck.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm looking to try to get a hold of him. I do not see a way that I can contact them, but I will try to and figure out maybe why he pitted so early.
All right, we'll find out what's going on with the 20. There is James Vining, the man on the scene for sure. Right now, we're approaching 30 laps into this race of 175. They work off the dog leg. The leaders work off turn number 4. Dan West Jr. now about to be under attack by Ryan Bloom for the lead into turn 1.
West Jr. blocks down to the inside, looking for the diamond. Bloom cuts a bit to the inside, not able to get the full cut. Back to the outside, now for the dog leg. West Jr. harder on the curves, through 3, Bloom looking for the arc, trying to do the same thing Dan West Jr. did earlier, blocking things off. West Jr. off 4.
Dan West Jr. off the corner out of turn number 4. Ryan Bloom right there in tow. And another week again of Team LSRTV versus Win Racing, hitting the dog leg off that second turn to the safer barrier.
Still not able to get the full arc yet. Still not able to be able to position himself alongside West Jr. despite being near dead, even if not quicker on this longer run. A slip out for West Jr. from the rear end. A little bit of a drifty drift. Actually gains time for the 55.
Back off into the corner into turn number 1 and 2. Watching all this happening on. We got an update on the driver, Chris Kynes. Let's go to him on pit road with James Vining.
Yeah, I couldn't get Chris to come on, but I did talk to them, and he was just having a bit of problems with that wasn't happy with the way the truck felt, so he pitted a little early to try to get some adjustments in there, new tires.
Justin, could we call this an undercut in favor of Chris Kynes? Obviously, I know he's not had the highlight first season full time with the Northwest Truck Series for sure, but I mean, could things work in his favor if we see cautions and he's already pitted, even though it's unscheduled?
Well, first of all, if there's a caution, he's 2 laps down. I don't think that's the good play. Second, the way I see that playing out, remember how we talked about 75-75? He might have a one-stopper to the end. So that might be his one window. Here's the problem. Chris has to go to the end of his fuel tank on this next run. So he better have gotten the right adjustments in to be able to get any positions on the track. If he pits any earlier, he can't make it to the checkered.
Broadcast coverage on the Community Radio Network of iRacing is presented by the Stock Car Racing Team Game and Wiles Agency Group Incorporated. All of this going on here thanks to our partners on CRN as well as iRacing on LSRTV, presented by CLICKIT RV. And right now, Dan West Jr. at one time under attack by Ryan Bloom. He starts to open up that interval more, but Bloom's still inside as they work off 4 there, JP.
Ryan Bloom has been setting things up to a T. Identical laps. How identical? How about both of them in the 29-109 bracket last time by? How about this past time by? A little bit quicker from Bloom. It's just been the issue of getting alongside. Dan West Jr. opens the door. He slips inside. Ryan Bloom dives upside. On the outside, Bloom ripping the top to take the lead.
So it's Ryan Bloom now back out in front again, but still a long way to go in this race as we are approaching 40 laps into this opening drive. Green flag run. So far, it is Ryan Bloom, Dan West Jr., Kevin Smith, Devin West, Dennis Moore, your top 5. Look at now, Dan West Jr. starting to fall off. Gotta wonder, Justin, if the tires are going away on the 55.
And that was something that was noted. Those tires look to be really getting very slippy off the corners. Devin West, I think, is a better example of that. Devin West has been basically bobbling up at the top of the 3rd gear, I've noticed, in that battle for 4th spot for a long while. Dan West Jr. just a little bit better on the tire saving, though, to limit that same burn his son is feeling.
Back into the corner into turn number 3. Off of the front stretch for the leaders. Here's now Christopher White and Dan Lowther battling. And there's an interval, Justin, that's almost 11, 12 seconds. That's half the track from the leaders. Now they're on the dog leg. They're on the front straightaway. Lowther and White are. That's the interval of how far they're back there going into turn 1.
Looking for the dive up in the cross-up. Chris White can't get it fully set up. Lowther with a little bit of a slow exit, though. Chris White forced to lift down to the dog leg. No positioning quite yet. That's a major thing. Chris White in decent space is one of the quicker trucks on the track. He's been extremely patient, though, before making any moves after some of the near close calls already in front.
Ryan Bloom still the driver of that 25 machine.
Troy Daggett slams hard to the wall. Tyler Kane involved. Nose pieces all over the banking as the caution waves.
Troy Daggett, Tyler King wreck up into the safer barrier in turn number 1. Yellow flag will fly on lap number 42. It's the first caution of the race. Let's go back to Justin Prince.
And our first yellow coming out after Troy Daggett broke something and broke something big. Because Daggett has a broken front nose, it's dragging so hard that he comes right up across the track into Tyler King, and that brings out the first caution. Troy Daggett did that on his own, mind you, after slamming the inside wall, and with how hard that front nose was digging into the ground, what can you do? You have no way to steer.
It looked like from another angle, thanks to Cody Deemers on the replay, that it looked like Daggett had already made contact somewhere. Maybe we can get an extended replay of this from oh yeah, there it is right there. Down the front straightaway, Daggett into the inside pit wall, and then from nowhere from there, shot the gap after hitting the wall right there, right to the start-finish line. He had already had damage, Justin Prince, and then drifts up in front of Tyler King, the 21, nowhere to go, and he goes into the fence as well.
And that's an important thing to think about, because it's easy to get loose, but with the new damage model, with any significant damage, as Tyler King has nowhere to go to, will be able to avoid anything. With the significant damage to the front of the nose, you can really feel that now with that model. You feel it bottom out, you feel the difficulty to be able to steer, you feel it massively just with a little bit of a crunch to the fender, the difficulty to turn. And you see with the onboard, for Daggett, he can't steer. He finds out immediately, I've got no grip underneath the front tires. As a matter of fact, if anything, that nose was lifting the front tires off the ground to where it couldn't turn.
Let's check in with James Vining. James, almost everybody in the top 15 came down to the pit lane.
Yeah, and I just got through talking with Win Racing there, and they're pretty happy with their trucks. They're doing a pretty good job, and they are, as a team, these guys have got it together, working good together, sharing information. It's no wonder they are so fast every single week.
Everything gelling right now for those drivers again for Win Racing, as we just got that update again from James Vining, as everybody did come down to the pit lane. Ryan Bloom, Dan West Jr. is now going to be the leaders, still even after pitting. They enter pit lane first, they exit first as well. Dennis Moore, Devin West, Kevin Smith, your top 5. We'll pause for 10 seconds of radio identification. The Northwest Truck Series, presented by CLICKIT RV. This is CRN, the Community Radio Network.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
At CLICKIT RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Ready for the field to come back to the Geico restart zone as we are ready for the restart for the first time after a long 43-lap green flag run. Pace car onto the pit lane, into the Geico restart zone we go. Green flag back out. This time it's Ryan Bloom. He'll jump to the lead as we go to the restart. Rogers will battle alongside. That's Moore. Moore's going after West. The West family off of turn number 2 to the dog leg.
West Jr. makes outside trouble. Jeff's down now. Massively slow after contact through turn 2. We stay green as Stab now gathers it up along the bottom through to 3, but it's taken side by side. Speaking of looking for those side by side, Dennis Moore now having to hold off Devin West in the battle for 3rd.
And Devin West now starting to make a climb with Dad West to try to get back to the top spot for at least the podium as Ryan Bloom continues to lead the way. It's Win Racing, LSRTV, Win Racing, LSRTV, Win Racing, LSRTV, Win Racing, Win Racing. There is like how it is right now with all of these drivers on the racetrack. We have said all year long, Justin Prince, that it has been these drivers, these teams going at it all season, and they put on great racing again in turn number 1.
Break up that grouping with the Win Racing trucks, why don't we, as Chris White inside clears in a Willie's Addictive Barbecue Machine, rumbles along the rumble strips, using the satisfying sound to be able to fully just about clear as Toby Ritters now tries to hold off Lowther.
About to put 50 laps on the board here as the leader, Ryan Bloom, works his way down to the start-finish line. Let's get an update on pit road. Let's check in with James Vining.
Yes, I just got done talking with Kinetics there, and with Frank and him, it sounds like him and Stephen Paulson there in the 58 truck running a little bit tight, but other than that, they're pretty happy with their trucks. They seem to be doing pretty good.
All right. That's the Aero Kinetics team, Robert Gamble and Stephen Paulson. Right now, Robert Gamble in the 10th position, Paulson in the 12th spot as they work their way to the start-finish line. 50 laps into this race. Look at Brightsman and Ritters go at it in turn number 1.
Brightsman looks to power off. Ritters with a bit of a pinch down. Has slide up to the wall. Brightsman forced to back out of the gas as Ritters looks to run away like Clifford. He tries to be able to use the third line to his advantage. Brightsman referring the bottom in 3 and 4 as he hits the apron to get loose.
Yeah, got on the flat. Sean Brightsman, second time tonight here at Phoenix. He has been loose again. Here comes now Dan Lowther to capitalize. He'll power to the inside. He'll power alongside Brightsman. Gamble right there with him as they work their way again out of turn number 2, and a save now for the 56 or the 54 and the 46 off the corner going to 3.
Brightsman doing similar things to what happened last run, just not having the best of positioning to be able to get around, and now he gets bullied by Gamble. Gamble tries to clear himself. Brightsman backs out of the gas. Jeff Stam now passes them both down the front to the inside.
Jeff Stab now says, excuse me, coming through. Now he's in the middle of that Aero Kinetics Esports sandwich, the Team LSRTV champion of the Northwest in years past, the 24. Now he'll duck in single file, closes in behind Gamble, drifts up in front of Paulson. Johnson will come and give way. All this going on in the top 15 out of 4.
Paulson looking for a cross-up attempt. Johnson instead looking for the dive-in attempt. Paulson slams that door. Johnson forced to back out of that attempt. Stab now trying to play the defensive lines with 2 to 3 different drivers, all wanting to go. Frank Harris included. He's inside. Brett Johnson coming out of the dog leg.
And look at Frank Harris, the legend, now down to the inside of Johnson's LSRTV machine. That battle goes on now inside the top 15, if you will. This is actually going on for 10th through 12th as they work their way. Now comes Paulson. He's after Stab now. He's got Harris in tow as they work out of 2.
Looking to tie things together, Paulson still can't get fully close. Stab now starting to get into the rhythm. All while Frank Harris starting to soar. Speaking of soaring ahead, Dan Lowther looking to attack Toby Ritters. Ritters to the outside, Lowther inside, down the front.
Ritter's having a good solid run right now in the 7th position. Lowther there to the left rear of the 63 machine right off the dog leg. This going on for 7th and 8th spot. Honestly, Justin, with not a big truck count, only 17 of 20 entrants to take the green flag, we are seeing an opportunity tonight for some drivers that maybe not per se have had bad races this season, but they've not been up in the top 5 or the top 10, get a chance to be in the spotlight tonight.
Yeah, and that's been kind of the case when you have this chance, but I think really the one who's taken the most advantage out of this so far is Robert Gamble, because he's been a top 15 or so driver much of the year, needs points. Guess what? This is the type of run that helps you get those points, to say the very least, in Gamble's case. Just keep it clean. After all, he's 19th place entering the night, and amongst those in that conversation for the bubble for the postseason.
By the way, don't forget, we are off next Monday night, July 31st, and then, JP, it is the run to the playoffs with very unique racetracks. Indianapolis, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the road course, Chicagoland, and Talladega to lock in the drivers that'll be the top 12 to run for the title of 2023.
And the most difficult parts of this stretch is you're basically saying the next few weeks, okay, it's time to test if we actually know how to build this truck. Because the Brickyard, you don't have any setup notes to rely upon. They don't race there. Straight up, they don't race at the Brickyard with the trucks these days. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, you could say you could utilize some of the stuff from the RTP race for the Round 2 event a few weeks ago, but that's about a month out in date. You can find more speed. Chicagoland, you put the same. Talladega, are you really going to trust your setup from April after several builds in August? In other words, if you're a team, you better get together and get to testing for that entire stretch, starting after the checker flag tonight.
60 laps now, 115 laps to go here at the Legacy Phoenix Raceway. Of course, aerial coverage up top presented by LSRTV. Thank you to Director Cody Deemers, Executive Producer Charles Wooten, handling everything here tonight. Sean Brightsman now sizing up Frank Harris, Brett Johnson. This all works on as they work off of turn number 4. Back down to the start-finish line. You got flat on the straightaway. The dog leg going to turn number 3 into 1 and 2, Justin, is banking. It's not a lot of banking, but there is some banking. Where do you change the line of the way you drive from the banking to the straightaway? And obviously, that dog leg is tricky, too, from the banking to the flat.
Well, without the dog leg to be able to cut forward, it does change the dynamic a little bit in terms of how you attack that exit in particular. But you just try and utilize your braking mark, and the modern day Phoenix, you have cones. Here, there's not necessarily a braking mark. Your braking mark is basically this random fan that is set up on the grandstand. I'm not joking. That is literally your braking mark at Phoenix right now. But you have to, for 1 and 2, get it rolled down to the bottom with a solid arc without missing the bottom of the racetrack or getting too quickly down, because that can burn up your right front tire. Then you essentially have to let it roll a little bit before you ease back into the throttle, get back to full throttle by the time you start to reach that flat down the straightaway. You make a mistake there, you're under attack by several drivers. Good example, Tyler Kane is attacking several right now, despite being 2 down.
Yeah, Brett Johnson also just dropped to the bottom of the racetrack off of the dog leg as they work their way off the corner out of turn number 4 down to the start-finish line. Tyler King 2 laps down already because of that accident he had earlier with the, of course, incident with Troy Daggett. Daggett had to take a fast repair. There you see Daggett right now on the racetrack. Those drivers are multiple laps down. Again, as we mentioned, now Tyler King 1 lap down, 2 laps down, Troy Daggett. Chris Kynes all the way in the back, 15 laps down. And there is the leader, Ryan Bloom, this time around, continuing to lead the way in that 25 for win racing off that dog leg into 3.
Doing exactly what he expected from this point. Ryan Bloom past lap 20, the quicker of the 2 trucks. Dan West Jr. a little bit quicker on the short runs at times tonight. You can tell Ryan Bloom really in tune with not just the truck, but the track events itself, because his teammates are not even matching the lap times he's been able to put up all night. Bloom is a 10th quicker than his own teammates.
Big thanks again to Russell Wiles Agency Group Incorporated, and the Stock Car Racing Team Game for our radio coverage. CLICKIT RV for our coverage of the Northwest Truck Series, round number 17. Justin Prince, we're also noticing them fighting the sunlight going off into turn number 1.
And that can play a little bit of trickiness into it, depending on how your monitor setup is, or if you have VR especially. Toby Ritters, I think, is the one going to be impacted the most for that respective part, because he has VR based on the last few points from him. But for the most part, it's going to be intriguing as this temp goes around. Does the track temp move? It hasn't today, which is shocking to me. And it's also very dry in Sim. It's not humid in any way. It's 29% humidity after all. And the reason I mention that is the more drier it is, the less moisture that gets maintained in the track. The higher the humidity, the higher the truck temperatures for the oil and water, but also the slicker the track, no matter the track condition. So you're basically talking about a very dry surface, despite it being essentially almost like winter coat weather in the case of Phoenix when you compare it to real world weather.
Somebody that no doubt knows about, obviously, racing into the sun as well as got an update on pit road. Let's check back in with the Catman, James Vining.
Yeah, I was listening to you guys talk about that. That sun can just be devastating, especially if HDR's on. And I know of a couple of drivers. Frank Harris runs VR. Toby runs VR. I believe Jeff runs VR too. And I could only imagine in VR how crazy hard it is to drive with the sun in your eyes like that.
VR, James, means virtual reality, so that means obviously it's kind of like the real deal. What is it like when you're driving VR with that sun bearing down on you compared to looking at a monitor in front of you doing the iRacing broadcast?
Well, unfortunately, I never got my VR to work, but I know on my monitor with the HDR on, it makes it to where you can't see your braking points. You can barely see the cars in front of you. It's really, really hard.
All right. Well, if there's anybody, Justin Prince, that definitely knows that, it's really good to have James Vining in the booth as our pit reporter, because he definitely has also experienced what it's like with his racing endeavors with the Northwest Series.
Yeah, and it's been a very helpful perspective as well, especially with how the field in itself gets prepared in the midst of things. Troy Daggett amongst those, by the way, in the battle of not able to gain any positions. And this is a tough thing. If you're Keenan Daggett, you're laps down, not even on the same lap. Know you're quicker than some of the drivers up in front of you on the board, but also need to not really interfere with the lead lap racer's race. Because that's the worst feeling, is when you really impede a lead lap driver's speed and or especially cause trouble for them. Paulison is the one how to hold off the lappers.
Yeah, we're definitely going to keep an eye on this. As, by the way, we are approaching lap number 75 this time by. When they come to the line, that means there will be 100 laps to go in this 175 lap contest. There's obviously 3 attempts at overtime if need be, but obviously if you do the math, 175 divided by half the distance, lap number 87 will be the cross flags. It is quickly approaching here at the Phoenix Raceway as we see Paulison and Daggett going at it side by side, working through the dog leg, heading to turn number 3. This is going on now for the 12th position into the corner.
And I think Paulison needs to be thinking big picture here, because
that's actually a lap truck. Yeah, that's a lap truck. My apologies.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you do not want to be that lap truck that knows you're quicker but also impedes a lead lapper. Paulison is spending a lot more time, though, than he should be trying to fight this, because Frank Harris is closing little bit by bit. About 1 second back, make it half a second back, and closing the more they shuffle like this. Paulison outside, inside Daggett, and Paulison still does not want to let Daggett go.
Yeah, I don't know why the Paulison is driving a lap truck 3 laps down Troy Daggett the way that he is. He is quickly losing ground on allowing Frank Harris to reel him in as we're approaching under 100 laps to go. And in doing so, obviously now you see this interval shrinking between Harris and Paulison. Daggett, though, Daggett's racing right there with him. I know he's 3 laps down. I don't want to say, man, what are you doing? There's a race going on and you're not in it. But with that being said, he might be trying the truck out. He might be trying fillers out. He might be looking at strategy. There's all sorts of things that Troy Daggett might be doing mired 3 laps down on the track, Justin.
I've done that before myself when racing in official action, where I've been involved in an early accident, had to get all kinds of repairs, lost a lap getting repairs done. Then I'm like, I don't know how this is going to run. So I'm going to see, without impeding the battles as much as I can, see how fast I can go. Sometimes you find out your truck is very slow. Sometimes you nearly unlap yourself after the repairs, and it says, okay, Can we get a caution now? Now? And then it may or may not come. But the tough part about Paulison's deal is, with the battling with Daggett, in terms of that, it's burned up his right front tire a lot more than it needed to, knowing that Daggett is in that testing phase and has now ran away by 7 truck lengths. Frank Harris is now in the draft and has gained 6/10 or so from that sequence.
We're closing in on lap number 80. Let's give you a full-field rundown on the racetrack of how they stand right now. Ryan Bloom is the leader. Dan West Jr. is in that number 2 spot. Dennis Moore sits in 3rd. Devin West right now comfortably in the top 5, along with Kevin Smith in the top 5. Christopher White is back in the 6th position. Toby Ritters is in 7th. He's, by the way, 11 seconds back to the lead pack truck of Ryan Bloom. Then it's going to be Dan Lowther in 8th spot. Jeff Stabnow sits in 9th. And Robert Gamble, Justin Prince, is right now your top 10 here at Phoenix.
11th spot, Sean Brightsman not having a great night here at Phoenix. He's continuing to struggle with grip. Stephen Paulison currently holding on to the 12th spot, 20 seconds back of the leader. Is right now getting reeled in bit by Frank Harris and Brett Johnson, 13th and 14th. Laps down, Tyler King, 15th, needs 2 cautions to get the laps back. And needs them quick because the leaders are starting to come up to traffic. Troy Daggett's 3 laps down, and Chris Kynes is already out of the race. Can tell you this is our smallest starting grid of the season of official green flag takers, but it hasn't felt like that much of the way with some of the battles.
Approaching halfway, let's get thoughts on pit road with James Vining. Your take of the first half of the race here at Phoenix.
Oh, so far it's been great. One thing I want to mention about Sean Brightsman, he may be back there in 11th, but never underestimate that guy. I've seen that guy a lap down before and come flying by me and end up winning a race. How he pulls it out, sometimes I don't know, but you never underestimate him. He could be a lap down and somehow pull it out.
There you go. There's the thoughts again from our LSRTV pit reporter, James Vining, of course, the driver of the 333 when he competes on the Northwest Racing Series. Hey, James, I got to bring you back in here, bud. You are the man that's created the chaos and mayhem of the Next Gen 4 car. We're going to have a fun 5 weeks. It kicks off this Wednesday. Tell everybody about it.
Yes, starting the Gen 4, I wanted to do something a little different, and I love driving that car. So I picked some tracks I thought would be interesting, which will be starting Wednesday. We'll be here at Legacy Phoenix. Then we go to Atlanta. Then I throw in a real curveball for them. We go to Chicago Street Course.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it'll be Michigan, and our final race will be Homestead, Miami.
There you go. And I'm understanding that they were saying that it's going to be somewhere within a 45 to an hour time limit. I think they're talking about maybe increasing it, maybe adding a little bit more laps, because honestly, this is a new series with the Fun League that's obviously until we fire back up with the Xfinity, car that is the CLICKIT RV fixed setup series on Wednesday night. But we had fun with the Robert Gamble's GT3 series with those cars, and now obviously we're going to see what these Gen 4 cars are. And Justin, you know more about this than anybody. Those cars were created by iRacing by mistake, and fans and drivers of iRacing love them.
Yeah, because it really replicates those mid-2000s types of races with the amount of horsepower it carries, but also just how it's driver-centric, where you need to be a good driver to run good in those cars. It's not as simple as hit the gas, floor it, and you win the race. You have to manage the tires. You have to manage how loose they get. You have to be able to battle it out. You have to be able to pick the right lines. It's a very fun car to drive, and there's a reason why a huge community has built up around those cars over the past few years with multiple different major series. Great to see Northwest Racing Series join in towards that trend to see which drivers are best when it comes to a very driver-focused car.
Going to be fun for sure. Again, James Vining, the promoter for creating this 5-week series. And again, obviously, the truck program, as we just passed halfway, now on lap number 90, continues their regular schedule, but the fun schedule, again, with the GT3 cars. Thank you, Robert Gamble, for that. James Vining has the Next Gen 4 car. And, hey, one of our broadcast partners, Harry Radford from Georgia, has been given the green light, Justin Prince. Obviously, he was banned from other races because he's not from the Northwest. But he has been given the green light to race in this league. He brags all the time, constantly, about how great of an iRacer he is. We're going to now finally see what his talents are in the booth on Wednesday night.
I've never seen him race in a Gen 4 car, and I hope for the best.
We'll see how it all shakes down for one of our colleagues, Justin Prince. By the way, Jason Rockefeller will be joining me in the broadcast booth, of course, on Wednesday night. We'll have it for you, as always, on iRacing, on LSRTV, and on the Community Radio Network. Cody Deemers showing all the awesome sights and sounds of what is going on here at the virtual Phoenix Raceway. We are after halfway. There you see from a pan-away view from the start-finish line. A great job by all of these drivers, some of these names that really don't get recognition, as we mentioned, around lap number 50, 60 of the race. Justin Prince right now doing well. Some of these names that I think of, Christopher White, and by the way, a former champion of the Northwest Cup Series, but struggles here in the trucks. Right now, he's got a solid run going for him tonight. Toby Ritters as well. Dan Lowther comes to mind. Robert Gamble with a good drive for Team Aerokinetic Esports in the top 10. Good jobs by also Brett Johnson and Frank Harris to keep themselves with the lead lap also.
Yes, indeed. And the thing is, it's going to get very, very difficult to maintain the lead lap status in the next few minutes because Frank Harris is being pressured by the leader, Ryan Bloom. These drivers battling Paulison and Johnson, about to be pressurized. Johnson inside, Paulison outside. Paulison a little bit of the edge off the corners, but Johnson with a better run on the tires, nearly putting his tires to the fenders.
Yeah, look at Johnson, man. That 7 truck looking really good down at the bottom of the racetrack, entering off the dog leg here at the Legacy Phoenix Raceway. Paulison right there in tow. Ryan Bloom, Frank Harris right there behind them. This is going on here with the laps continuing to tick away in a lap 180 laps to go. Fighting the sun, the leader, Ryan Bloom. Lap traffic up ahead as he goes to 1.
When getting out of the sun, you can see Johnson and Paulson are nearly ripping the numbers off each other's cars and trucks. Johnson clears from the outside to the dog leg, Paulson dropping back to last in the lead lap. And now this could be a battle of who becomes the lucky dog, because it's a long while, about 11 seconds until the next drivers are at risk of being lapped. Paulson now quickly trying to find a way back to Johnson and fast.
Yeah, trying to, for sure, just continue to hold on to that momentum as they work their way again back through the dog leg. Off of 2, down the backstretch, going to turn number 3. Ryan Bloom, Dan West Jr., Dennis Moore, Devin West, Kevin Smith, your top 5. And Ryan Bloom now picking off lap trucks as Stephen Paulison just went a lap down there in the 13th spot. He's not, though. He's trying to battle back as now also Dennis Moore and Dan West Jr. battle for second going to 1.
We'll see if Dennis Moore can find his way forward. He has found a little bit of pace compared to Ryan Bloom to close out these final few laps of this run. Slowly getting in towards the bottom line. Dan West Jr. plays from the middle to the bottom. Drifts back up on top of the first seam through 3 and 4. Moore getting the better, gearing up the exit to close it up as Tyler King opens the pit window.
Ryan Bloom, the man that leads the way. This is Dennis Moore. This is on board with a third place truck from the front grille of the machine of the 44. Reeling in the double nickel of the West Racing entry. And as I mentioned again, Team LSRTV and Win Racing going at it again in the top 5.
Up along to the front straightaway they rumble. Coming up to 75 laps to go, and the green light just about to make it on gas The next few moments or so, Ryan Bloom just lapped Brett Johnson. Johnson now with the lucky dog spot. Expecting drivers to pit in 20 laps to make that sprint to the finish. And really, things starting to space out. This is a trend we see a lot here at Phoenix. The longer the run, the more spread apart we get. Trouble for Dan Lowther. The 63 slow off of turn 2 is struggling significantly, has damage, and is losing time in bunches.
Just past lap 100. As right now, Ryan Bloom continuing to be the leader. Dan West Jr. is in second. Dan West Jr., Dennis Moore, Devin West, RDDD, top 5, along with Kevin Smith. Ritters, White, stabbed out, Lowther, and Gamble. That's the way it stands right now. We're going to go to a break. We're going to go side by side. You do not miss a thing. The final 75 lap. Okay, correction. We will stay right here with you. We are not side by side. He doesn't have it. Ryan Bloom is the leader. He is still the man continuing to stay up in front. We get a caution. We'll then go to our commercial. We want to thank, of course, all the great folks from Race on Texas. Of course, CLICKIT RV, everyone involved. And now we see a battle, Justin, going on for second. Dennis Moore getting around Dan West Jr. for second as they work off the dog leg in 2.
West Jr. can't get underneath. Dennis Moore on the defense. Looks forward and looks to try and find a way to close 5 seconds to Ryan Bloom. That's now been the kind of showcase for Wood Racing all season at the long run tracks. The speed seems to be there. Bloom is still the quickest truck, no matter what you can say, Wesley, by at least a 10th a lap, and that's difficult to beat.
So Dennis Moore will now begin his ascent to run down Ryan Bloom, who now has a 5-second lead over Moore and West in that gap that's going on for second and third spot. And obviously, Justin, we're thinking pit stops are coming also, and it's probably going to be into the green flag stretch as well.
And likely going to be the money stop to make it to the end at least, depending on if there's an air caution. But for the most part, it's about picking the right timing to do so. Dan West Jr., for example, let's talk about if you go for an undercut, as big of even one lap, the fall off today is about 1.4 seconds. Dan West Jr. is actually coming in right on the money.
Let's go down. Justin Prince, let's go to James Vining. We have trucks on pit road. Dan West Jr., Devin West, they're covering your pit stops, but money stop time here at Phoenix.
Yes, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to get permission from their crew chiefs to talk to them. But before the next race I do, I will make sure I have everybody approval. So
I just wanted you to cover the pit stops. It's basically going to be 4 tires and fuel. Sunoco fuel going into the tanks, 4 new sides of tires, and looks like everything was good for their pit stops as the father-son team is about to roll away.
Yeah, they definitely got 4, and yeah, they're picking off pretty close together too. So that was a good pit stop. That was an incredible pit entry.
Dennis Moore is on pit road. Let's try this again, James Vining. Green flag pit stops continue on lap 106.
Yeah, it looks like Dennis is in for. Just moved on me. There he goes. So he's going to be getting 4 and probably a full tank too. Maybe do an adjustment. I might imagine. Maybe I would assume if he's a little bit tight, putting some maybe a half a pound on the right rear.
Some more trucks are coming onto the pit lane. It's Jeff Stab now, the 24. He'll now give up his spot on the pit lane. Let's go back to James Vining.
And I'm pretty sure that Jeff's going to be getting 4. Looks like he got into the wall there. He might be needing to tighten that up a little bit.
The green flag pit stops continuing. Here comes the leader, Ryan Bloom. This is going to be an important stop. He cannot make any mistakes, James Vining, as he rolls to you in the 25.
Yes, definitely can't overshoot his pit box. Got to stop perfect. It looks like he did. It looks like he's going to be getting 4 as well, which I would assume at this track he would be getting 4.
For sure, 4 tires and fuel. Last time they pitted, by the way, was on lap number 43. This now cycles back around for Kevin Smith to be the new leader. Robert Gamble, the 54 truck. You know this guy, James. He's in your pit stall.
Oh, yeah, I know Robert well. Yeah, Yep, he's gonna be getting 4 tires for sure. As soon as I'm done here, actually, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get a hold of him and find out how everything's going for him.
All right, thank you very much. As excuse me, Robert Gamble is off pit road, Justin.
And an interesting sequence. Devin West just noticed picked up a speeding penalty, though, in the midst of all that, so take him out of the equation. Outside of that, Kevin Smith electing to go long, try and hope for the caution, because here's the thing. Some of the drivers are pinned a lap down. Chris White is heading the way of James. And James is heading the way of somewhere else, it looks like, Wesley.
Yeah, he's trying to get the update of what's going on with Robert Campbell, as right now Christopher White is coming down to the pit lane. Obviously a former Cup Series champion of the Northwest. Obviously he's going to go to his pit stall. There you see some of the pit boxes and the work being done. And now the leader coming back down to the pit lane. Kevin Smith will bring his truck on pit road. The Win Racing, CLICKIT RV, West Coast Bomb Speed, Chevrolet, Justin. He's getting ready to go for his money stop. This is on lap number 111, working lap 112. And again, right now, only one yellow flag to halt this race. Green flag pit stops, definitely a strategy that I don't think a lot of people were really expecting here at Phoenix.
I mean, normally you basically wait and see if you get a caution. Here's the thing. It's been very difficult to even get a caution.
Ritter's in.
And as pit stops continue, Wesley, I think
yeah,
James...
Ritters is in, Johnson is in, King is in. Let's go back down to James Vining. What you got?
Yes, I was just talking to Frank just a second ago, and he's still running a little bit tight, so he's going to be trying to loosen his truck up a little bit with some air.
Caution! Trouble on the racetrack. 12th position, it's Chris White after pitting, who has spun around on fresh tires out of turn 1 and 2. This mixes the field up for the caution.
Yellow flag will fly with a cycle of green flag pit stops continuing on lap number 112. It involves Chris White. Justin Prince, you saw it happen off the dog leg in 2.
Just on his own, clipping the apron on the apex, didn't play into major factors there, as more so just too much throttle out of the exit. And around went the 47 for the caution. 1 lap down. He's now pinned a lap down. Jeff Stab now in the lucky dog spot. And the field is now blended a bit around. Lowther and Brightsman having to come down, but Ryan Bloom should assume the lead back, but on bit older tires compared to those who can come down now.
Let's go back down to the pit lane. James Vining, you were talking about the Aerokinetics esports team of Robert Gamble and Frank Harris. What are they saying?
Yeah, Frank there was running a little bit tight and just burned his right front up. So he's going to be trying one of my tricks of half a pound on the left front, half a pound on the right rear. Hopefully loosen it up a little bit. But I'll tell you what, I've been in this situation where yellow comes out and you've just pitted. This totally throws a wrench in everybody's plans.
Sean Brightsman, Dan Lowther, Stephen Paulison now onto the pit lane. 4 tires and fuel, obviously, with closing in on, I believe it's 55 laps to go. All right, so with that being said, we'll step away. Let's take a commercial break, as we were going to do earlier. Under the yellow flag, Ryan Bloom, Dan West Jr., Dennis Moore, Frank Harris, Kevin Smith, your top 5. We're back from Phoenix in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
At CLICKIT RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Welcome back to coverage of iRacing here from Phoenix Raceway. After the second yellow flag of the evening, we are officially completed with the caution. We're getting ready to go back inside the Geico restart zone and set them up for you here. I'm Wesley Outland. Justin Prince is alongside. On the pit lane is James Vining. And we are ready to go back to green flag in the air. Ryan Bloom, then Dan West Jr. asleep at the wheel. Here comes Kevin Smith. He's going after him also with Dennis Moore in the 1 and 2.
Nearly turning off the crow nose, though. West Jr. able to hold on. Kevin Smith able to back out. Now tries to stuff his nose back into the dog leg. Does for turn 3 entry inside. West Jr. misses the corner just about to the top out of 4.
What a nice save, saving it there again, as you mentioned, out of turn number 4. We will continue to hold them there as here comes now Kevin Smith going after Dan West Jr. Almost got to the left rear. He actually is more further back than what we thought, as here is now reeling him in as he goes off a 2.
Still Kevin Smith looking to peek and prod. Up the inside now with a bit of the side trap. West Jr. trying to pinch down. Kevin Smith slams the door. Inside makes the move. 0-0 to second.
All this happening now as they work their way back down the front straightaway. Massive cloud cover now hovers over Phoenix Raceway. Obviously, we'll see what this does. Is Lowther now under attack by Ritters. This is to put him in the top 5. He's on the back stretch going to 2.
Lowther communicating over the radio with some of the drivers as Ritters tries to communicate his charge up from the middle. Bit of an arc up. Lowther forced to back up. Trying to go for the cross up. Dives inside, down the front straightaway, and passing the blue walls.
You know, James Vining, let's check in with you on pit road as we're approaching now lap number 121, as we see Lowther and Ritters continue to battle muscle for stride for that 5th and 6th spot. Obviously, we mentioned cloud cover over the racetrack as somebody that's raced a lot on iRacing, especially in the Northwest. What does that do for the handling of the truck, especially when you're fighting the sun and now the clouds?
Oh, when that track starts cooling off, the grip goes up amazingly amounts. And also, you can push a lot harder and not have to worry about overheating your tires as easy.
There you go. And I'll tell you what, Justin, to elaborate more on that, bud, there might be some trucks that actually handle so much better, as we're seeing a lot of speeds picking up with some of the guys that are in the back because of the cloud cover.
Devin West amongst those, really trying to pick up some of the track position. He's in the lucky dog spot, though. It's going to take a while before he can get some positions fully. Sean Brightsman, meanwhile, does want the spot. He wants to be able to try and move from the very back. He's been running in the back half of the field much of the day. He gets the run on Ritters, nearly to the fender through the dog leg.
It's Ryan Bloom, Kevin Smith, Dan West Jr., Dennis Moore, Toby Ritters, your top 5. Now check that. Sean Brightsman just went to 5th. Toby Ritters to 6th as we're watching that battle happen with Dan Lowther 7th. Frank Harris is 8th. Stephen Bollison 9th. Jeff Stabnow, your top 10. Lap 124, the leaders are back to 1.
Still rolling forward on the bottom, Brightsman. Ritters giving plenty of space. Brightsman on the bobble. Now runs next to the curbing. Continues to hit those left side tires against those rumble strips. Ritters trying to hit that middle groove with speed. Brightsman sliding up. Ritters gives him some space. Brightsman clears down the front.
Closing in next time by with 50 laps to go here in the 175-lap race here at Phoenix Raceway, round number 17. By the way, quick reminder, we are off next Monday night. Next Monday night we are taking off, and then we go to Indianapolis, Canadian Tire, Chicagoland, Talladega, the home stretch, final 4 weeks before Labor Day break, and then we return on September 11th, Richmond Raceway for the playoffs. And if you're not in the top 12, you got to do something. You got to get there now. And right now we see Lowther and Ritters. There's contact. Ritters goes spinning. He gets fishtailed, slammed into by Devin West. turns into the pack, locks up the brakes. Caution out for the third time out of turn number 2.
Lowther already apologizing over the radio and could see that happening with Lowther missing the bottom and Ritters with the little pinch.
Lowther and Ritters fighting for it. He hit the left rear of Ritters' truck. The Chevrolet spun around. Then he got slammed into driver's side by Devin West. Everyone else, as he climbed the banking near the safer barrier, was able, Justin, to slam on the brakes, hit the binders, and bonsai left and right to mince him. And we go under the yellow flag. There's the driver door hit. More rear side contact, if you will, right front. Look at the damage, though, Justin, on the number 5 of Devin West. He was in third. Toby Ritters had a solid run in the top 10, battling with Lowther. And there is here comes Devin West. He's on pit road. Fast repair coming. James Vining, down to you.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, that right side is totally busted. Looks like the toe link. He's definitely got that fast repair because that thing's just toast.
What a tough break, Justin. You see he's got a fast repair. That's basically the only safety net that the number 5 has, and he'll be mired in the back on the restart. But obviously, we need to check and find out what's going on with Toby Ritters. Ritters had a good run, and here comes some more trucks coming down to the pit lane. Dennis Moore, Dan West Jr., Toby Ritters is on pit road for some late pit stops, if you will. Wasn't expecting this, James Vining.
No, neither was I, but I will run down there real quick and see if I can get a word with Toby and those guys and see how they're doing and what's going on.
All right, there you go. James Vining quickly on the call there to find out what's happened with Clifford. As Clifford, I believe, had a fast repair up his sleeve where he can be able to get back in the race. And, you know, Justin, it's so disappointing. As you said, you heard in the radio, Dan Lowther was saying, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hook you. I did not mean to get into you. But obviously, you know, here's the deal. Lowther's going to put his Ford 63 to the 4th spot. Toby Ritters right now is going to be mired all the way at the tail end of the field in the top 12.
Yeah, the thing is, though, that is still a pretty big difference that you could take advantage of if it goes green. That's the move, I think, for Dan West Jr., Dennis Moore, to try and battle for this race win. Because if you don't do that decision, what do? You're not going to pass by even Bloom based on the speed on raw pace alone. So try and out-strategize him.
So the yellow flag out again. There's your top 5 for the Press Box Motorsports podcast, hosted by Charles Wooten. It'll be coming back soon. And of course, there's a look at your top 5. Ryan Bloom, Kevin Smith, Sean Brightsman, Dan Lowther, Frank Harris in the top 5. All this happening here on lap number 128. As we approach again the home stretch of this race. Under 50 laps to go. Let's go down to the pit lane and get an update with James Vining.
Yes, just got done talking with Win Racing there, and Toby, he still had his fast repair, so he was able to throw that on. Ryan and those guys, they kind of feel like maybe they might be sitting ducks here. I'm not sure how many people pitted. I didn't catch that myself, but I guess we'll see. If anybody's out there and needs to hold somebody off, Ryan's definitely one that can do it.
All right, Ryan Bloom again right now, the man that is up in the top spot as we approach 45 laps to go. We're in the home stretch of this race again, lap number 175. There is attempts of overtime if need be, but obviously this race has had its share of exciting green flag moments, Justin, and it's had its share of cautions. So we're about to go back for the restart here for the 3rd time as the field works out of turn number 3 and 4. Pace car will make the left-hand turn onto the pit lane. Duck onto the pit lane is what I was trying to say. Back to the Geico restart zone. Green flag goes back in the air, and we are back underway with 45 to go. The whole shot will go to Ryan Bloom. He'll send it off in that Chevrolet into turn 1.
Bloom already clear over his teammate Kevin Smith. Sean Brightsman holds on to 3rd, but the focus really popping up in the back. Trouble, Dan West Jr. having a save into the 55 after the pit strategy.
No!
Now he goes around.
Oh, my. No caution also, Justin. That's heartbreak. Devin West involved in an incident, and now Dan West Jr. has took himself out of the equation. He'll still fall to the Baker's Dozen bubble spot as we still stay green into turn number 1 and 2.
All cold tires.
Whoa!
Jeff Stab now goes inside. Into the grass goes the 24 now. 2 crashes out of turn 2 in 2 laps. No yellows in either.
And by the way, they are both Team LSRTV teammates. Sean Brightsman and Dan West Jr. in one. Jeff Stab now in the other. Ryan Bloom, Kevin Smith, Sean Brightsman now the top 3 as White and Moore battle Paulison for that spot for 5th and the 7th and 8th spot as they work off the dog leg now out of 2.
Moore on those fresh boots inside. Chris White out of the dog leg. Has the space up through 3. Slides up to the second line. Gets the better arc through the gears up through 3rd. Give Dennis Moore a top 5 spot. Make it a top 6 spot for now.
Ryan Bloom loves what he sees. He has now pulled away by almost about a quarter distance from Kevin Smith, his teammate and the boss, of course, of Walla Walla, Washington for Win Racing. Kevin Smith, couple of Chevrolets along with Ryan Bloom, 1 and 2. Sean Brightsman's Toyota for Team LSRTV, 3rd. Dan Lowther and Frank Harris is in the top 5, Justin, as they work back to turn number 1.
What a twist of events for Harris, but how long does that last? Kevin Smith, meanwhile, trying to match up the times with Bloom. Bloom in the clean air, continuing to sidestep forward. All with the drivers inside. 40 laps to go this time. By the way, Dennis Moore has just drop-kicked Frank Harris from 5th down to 6th.
Watching all this transpire as now we saw Stab now and Dan West Jr. fall back to the clutches of 12th, 13th. Devin West a couple of laps down in 14th. All of this happening now as this takes place down the back straightaway on board. Kevin Smith losing ground on Ryan Bloom. Ryan Bloom looking to try to win here and pick up his 5th win, the most of anybody. Which, by the way, check that, Justin. He already has the most of anybody with 4 wins on the year, but he is looking for 5th win. And if I remember correctly, it'll be back-to-back as he picked up the win recently at Pocono. Last week did go to Sean Brightsman. We were unable to broadcast that race due to technical issues, but Sean Brightsman in victory lane at Texas last week. So he is trying to go for a 2 in a row, and right now in 3rd as they work out a 4.
And keep in mind, that was a race with 6 different leaders. A lot of those leaders are moving forward. Moore, Smith amongst those you throw into that conversation. Harris curling holding on to 6th. But the battle is on for 2nd. Smith nearly bobbles the wall. Brightsman providing the pressure within a truck length. Brightsman has been struggling much of the night. Not now.
Yeah, remember, James Vining, I want to throw you down here on the pit lane. You were talking about never count out Sean Brightsman. I think we're seeing his genius appear now, but closing in on 40 to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've seen him be lap downs before and come back and win a race. Being in 11th, that's nothing for him. He might have been taking it easy, actually, for all we know.
We'll keep an eye on that again as all this is going on down the stretch. It's all we're watching Ryan Bloom, Kevin Smith, Sean Brightsman, top 3. James, back down to you. You mentioned them earlier. What an awesome job by Dennis Moore, Dan Lowther, and hey, even Toby Ritters has climbed back into the top 10 along with Frank Harris.
Yeah, I know. There for a while, it was, I think it was, of the top 5, 4 of them were Win Racing trucks earlier.
Yeah, solid drives, Justin Prince, by, of course, guys like we mentioned. And I mean this in no disrespect. Normally they're in the back or they're mired in traffic or they get caught up in accidents. And to the victor goes the spoils with low truck counts, quality versus quantity. And we're seeing some talents of some of these guys that usually don't get TV time, getting TV time here tonight here at Phoenix Raceway as we approach now 35 to go.
Yes, indeed. It's been intriguing how things have played out to close out this race, let's put it that way. But Dennis Moore on the fresher tires, starting to equalize out. Now on the back bumper of Brightsman, looking towards the outside for the diamond line through 3. Brightsman slides. Moore already quickly down to the gear for the exit.
Look at now. Smith under attack. Bonsai to the inside by Sean Brightsman. Moore back up on the outside lane to try to help out his Win Racing teammate. And right now, Kevin Smith overshot the gap. They're 3 wide in the dog leg. Give him room. Brightsman will. He'll clear. He's after Moore. He's going after Smith. 2 for 1 into 3.
Moore quicker through the gears though on the outside. Gets alongside Smith now for second. Side by side to the flag stand. Moore drives himself to the wall. Still tries to send it on the outside through 1. Still trying to keep the inside. Smith can't do so with the drift. Here comes Brightsman on the back bumper. He drifts as well.
John Brightsman fishtails just a little bit as they work their way back off into the corner. It's now Brightsman down to the bottom. Here comes now Kevin Smith. He'll hug the bottom of the racetrack. Brightsman will follow in tow. Couple of Win Racing teammates battling the LSRTV machine. We're working 30 laps to go here now as they climb into turn number 1.
At the bottom of the circuit, Brightsman takes another peek at Smith. Smith fishtails the tail up to the wall. Still gets the better power down. All of them watching as Dennis Moore is looking to take this race lead away from his teammate. 1 second the gap, first and second. Moore is closing on the fresh boots.
It's Ryan Bloom, Dennis Moore, Kevin Smith. We're watching that battle with Sean Brightsman in 4th. Toby Ritters is in 5th. Dan Lowther, Christopher White, Robert Gamble, Frank Harris, and Stephen Paulison. All right, it's pucker time. It's 30 to go. The payout window's open. The run for the money at Phoenix underway as the leaders are back into 3.
And now they're starting to equalize really out. Devin West is the interesting part of this equation. It's worth mentioning Devin West is 2 laps down. Remember, could have got the lucky dog, but then got into that crash that brought out that caution a while ago. Now, not only does Devin West need a caution, he needs to unlap himself to have any sort of shot to be able to battle for positions by the end of this race with how late it is right now. He might have a chance to get up to Bloom to possibly see what he can do. The tough part is, can he get to Dennis Moore in case Moore swaps around for the lead?
What is the strategy right now, James Vining, that you think these drivers are thinking as the laps wind down here, buddy?
I think they pretty much set it. I don't know if they have any tires left. I suppose if there's another caution, they could come in and get tires. But I wouldn't be surprised either if there was a caution and somebody like Sean would just stay out and get the track position.
We'll see how all of this transpires again as we are approaching now 25 laps to go and a couple of more laps. Of course, James Vining on the pit lane giving us updates and stories. And Ryan Bloom is back up in front again. Things changed after some green flag pit stops and then a caution. But right now, he is back in the top spot as we are approaching the home stretch of this race. With Justin Prince, I would say it's been a fairly exciting, entertaining race here tonight at Phoenix Raceway. Not a lot of caution flags, not a lot of calamity. Maybe the yellow flags fell at the right time when they needed to. It's been an interesting race here tonight for round 17.
It's intriguing with how it's really played out because Bloom is outright dominated, I will say. But it hasn't really felt that way because of some of the battles in the heart of the field, especially the top 5. But now with Moore having this difference in strategy, that really sets the tone for what we're about to see for these final 25 laps because there's a chance that Bloom might not be able to hold on with the way this race is playing out. And Toby Ritters, by the way, is in the top 5 and might have a top 3 because he's on the same cycle as Moore.
Don't count out any of those drivers like Dennis Moore, Kevin Smith right there in second and third, trying to run down Ryan Bloom. By the way, it is Win Racing 1, 2, and 3. Brightsman, Sean Brightsman, that teal green 46 for Team LSRTV is in 4th. Win Racing's Toby Ritters is in 5th. All of this going on as we're approaching now 20 laps to go. Again, and a still cloud cover over the racetrack. That's really been something, Justin, that these drivers have been trying to fight. You see a little poke of the sun, but then the clouds quickly come back out. And again, that's really, really cooled this racetrack off. And I think it's caused some drivers to have some handling problems also.
Yeah, that track temperature hasn't really dropped. Only 2 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's more so, I think, just the fatigue started to really settle in. This is one of the longer races on the schedule when you count up the miles and the amount of time added up to it. Toby Ritters, by the way, up to 4th, be able to make the pass on Sean Brightsman outside through 3 and 4. Ritters, right now, running very comfortable times to the 44 of Dennis Moore. As said, a chance to get up to Kevin Smith for a top 3 run.
Definitely got a good top 3 run right now. We'll continue to monitor this and see how it all transpires as we are down to the final 20 laps coming up when they work their way back to the start-finish line. James Vining, it looks like literally nightfall is settling in here. That's how cloud cover-esque this racetrack is at the virtual Phoenix Raceway right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the track temp hasn't went down that much. But that being said, one thing that I have noticed too, when the track does cool off, sometimes the cars will get really loose because you'll have really good front grip, and all of a sudden you'll catch yourself with the back end walking around on you.
We'll certainly keep an eye on all this now as Ryan Bloom again starting to see a little daylight as sunlight starts to poke out, at least in the dog leg going to the 3rd turn as nightfall begins to settle in here with 20 laps to go. We're coming up on the top of the hour. We'll pause for 10 seconds of radio identification from Phoenix, the finish for the Northwest Trucks, presented by CLICKIT RV when we return.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This is iRacing on LSRTV. Thanks to our partners as well as on the Community Radio Network. We are live for the home stretch of Phoenix Raceway, round number 17 at the Legacy track. Along with Justin Prince, I'm Wesley Outland. James Vining is the man on the pit lane. And right now, Ryan Bloom is looking at 15 to go, JP, for win number 5 of the year for the 25.
And with the way Dennis Moore's tires have started to essentially just equalize fully, this kind of just says it all. Ryan Bloom has just been the one who's dictated the tempo from the onset. Great night for the organization. All 4 of your trucks in the top 4. What else can you do?
Finally, a little bit more sun poking through the virtual Avondale, Arizona clouds here at the Phoenix Raceway. And obviously, everyone content. Let's get a final swing into the pits. And James Vining, what's the vibes of any of these drivers as we approach 15 laps to go right now? We're in the home stretch.
A few of them are wore out. It's been quite a rough race for them. They're, have to handle the trucks and whatnot. They're exhausted. They're having fun, but they're definitely tired.
All right, there you go. Thanks again. With the update, it's the 13 laps to go into the home stretch of this race. Robert Gamble, as we see Devin West on pit road. This is definitely an unscheduled pit stop for the 15. For the number 5 in the 15th spot is what I was going to say. Justin, he might be ready to just call it a night here. I think he's out.
Yeah, Devin West, really, with the lost lap and knowing how the race is playing out, would not get back on the lead lap with the way things are shaping out, especially since, well, there's a chance Stephen Paulus will lose the lap even in the next few laps. So it's a tough race for Devin West. He has to regroup, refocus, already has the wins from earlier this season to rely upon. Dennis Moore, by the way, he has fallen off all of a sudden, and what can you say? Ryan Bloom is just an absolute alien tonight.
Yeah, Ryan Bloom has took everybody to the woodshed, if you will, here at the virtual Phoenix Raceway. I mean, he looked strong in qualifying. Obviously, when he bumped his own boss, Kevin Smith, we knew that Ryan Bloom was going to be somebody to watch. You look at the season he's had. He's had, 3 wins of the last 3 races, not counting Sean Brightsman winning at Texas last Monday night. 4 wins, now looking at 5 wins. And Justin, here's the thing. He's second in the points because you've got a guy like Dennis Moore, again, tonight, being consistent right there behind him in the number 2 spot as we come to 10 laps to go. And I think that's the reason why we haven't seen, per se, Ryan Bloom go to the P1 spot. But I don't think he's thinking about racing for the regular season championship. He wants to get wins. He wants to be competitive. He wants to go to the playoffs. He's done that and then some.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention, even with that difference, Ryan Bloom's got the better total in terms of bonus points this season, +7 in that, likely to grow tonight because the pace Ryan Bloom's had all night long. And when you do races like this, you get the chance to just chip the gap down that little bit more and have it continue in that trend. That's going to be the major thing. Ryan Bloom, I think, just right now has the stronger run so far. Moore's the more consistent, but Bloom is definitely the one who is if you give him speed, he'll make sure it's in victory lane type of driver with the most poles, by the way. It's 7. Let's put it this way. He has a conversion rate for the pole of 5 for 8 this season. That's impressive.
7 laps to go for the driver of the number 25, Ryan Bloom. Right there. Teammate, yes. Competitor. Competitive atmosphere between these drivers. Yes, between Ryan Bloom and Dennis Moore. They're 1 and 2 on the racetrack. 1 and 2 in the championship, but you flip-flop them here. How about Kevin Smith? Remember the problems that Kevin Smith had, Justin, to rally back, put him on the podium. Oh, by the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, right now with 6 laps to go, Win Racing's took these guys to the woodshed tonight also as teammates.
Yeah, at this point, Win Racing, it's definitely running away with things in terms of who's got the tempo, who's the best of the best. It's been that way much of the year in terms of the tug of war. They've had the majority of the wins when you break it down team to team. Toby Ritters, though, with under 5 laps to go, wants to be able to get on the podium. He was involved in the troubles earlier. Now he looks hungry to find a way around the 0-0.
Hey, ready to go to the home stretch of this race with 5 to go. Let's get an update real quickly from the pits before the checkered flag with James Vining.
Yes, hopefully I don't do this commentator cursing, but before the race I was talking with these guys, and they were talking about finishing 1 through 4. So this will be pretty cool if they actually pull this off.
Well, right now, everything is working in tail for these drivers with the strategy. So, keep continuing to see if it comes to fruition. With 3 laps to go as they storm down the front straightaway, there you see Kevin Smith and Toby Ritters, 3rd and 4th. Remember, hey, listen, both of those drivers, Justin, had problems on the racetrack. They redeemed themselves. They battled back. And look at them right there in the podium spots behind, obviously, 1st and 2nd. But, man, you got to think of Kevin Smith. You got to think of Toby Ritters. Good runs for these guys, for sure.
Great runs for both of them in the late stages. Toby Ritters looking for a great run down the front straightaway. 2 laps to go. Ritters showing the nose. Way too far back for Ascend, though, but he forces a mistake out of 2. Kevin Smith way up the track.
These are drivers that are teammates, but right now battling for the podium. Ritters wants to get an interview with us here when post-race happens. Meanwhile, the leader, Ryan Bloom, comes to the line. White flag in the air. 1 more lap to go. Ryan Bloom, final time at Phoenix into turn 1.
What a run for Ryan Bloom. Just about every single lap has gone the way of the 25 truck tonight. Down to the donk leg for the final time. Bloom looks to really set things forward for a 5th time this year.
3 wins in the last 4 races for the driver with the number 25 and the 5th win of the season for Ryan Bloom. It's also a win racing 1, 2, 3, 4. Checkered flag in the air. Ryan Bloom here wins here at the Legacy Phoenix Raceway for round number 17 tonight here. Dennis Moore will settle for 2nd spot. Kevin Smith will go for 3rd. Toby Ritters, he had a shot to go after Smith, but he has to hold on for the 4th position. Sean Breitzman, the 1st truck for Team LSRTV, will finish in the top 5 as we now continue to show you the unofficial results. Boy, I'll tell you what, JP, look at this. Dan Lowther, another solid run. Christopher White in 7th. Robert Gamble, 8th. Names we never mentioned that much. Dan West Jr. had problems, rallied back to finish in the top 10 and 9th. And Brett Johnson, a way to represent Team LSRTV in the top 10 for the 7th.
In the 11th spot tonight, Jeff Stabnow. Frank Harris, the last Louis lap, was Stephen Paulison 1 lap down in 13th. Troy Daggett 3 laps down in 14th. Devin West, the DNF tonight in 15th with King, Kynes, all finishing not on the track. No starts tonight from Garber, Camary, or Burke. It's photo op time, meanwhile. Looks like Win Racing trying to get a clean picture in. Or is this going to be the other way?
Quit celebrating, right?
Oh, it's the other one.
Oh!
It's the everyone wants to destroy him.
It's the Northwest High Five salute. They were at a standing start, if you will, and then they got up to speed and bonsai'd into the winning truck number 25. Oh! As Kevin Smith goes slamming into the guardrail, into the pit lane from contact. And everyone is celebrating with the number 25. Now they can tear it up from the floor up. As, of course, Ryan Bloom is the winner tonight. It's a Win Racing 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, Justin Prince, you think of the Daytona 500. You think of the 97 Daytona 500. When Hendrick Motorsports finished 1, 2, 3 in the Daytona 500. You think of other monumental moments in the sport. Virtually tonight, this has got to be a special night for Win Racing, no doubt.
A very, very, very strong night for the organization as a whole. And I think you could just tell the camaraderie for the respective drivers. They're actually still in the midst of describing what they need to do here as they get ready to celebrate post-race.
All right, well, let's get ready to grab our top 3 here. Ryan Bloom, Dennis Moore, and Kevin Smith. Those will be the guys that we will be collectively grabbing for, of course, a post-race. We welcome to our post-race show, of course. It's presented by CLICKIT RV. Ryan Bloom picking up his 5th win this year. Of course, when it is all said and done, we'll grab now 3rd place, and we'll grab Kevin Smith if we can get him real quickly. Kevin Smith is the driver that we will bring in to the fold. Obviously, honorable mention to Toby Ritters. Toby had a good run. He'll finish in the 4th spot, but we're trying to get Kevin Smith, who finishes in third. We'll go 3, 2, 1. Kevin, man, I want to get your take on things. It's like a special win racing night, obviously. 1 through 4, the race is over, counting also Toby Ritter's. But, man, I know you had a lot of technical problems when the season first started with the Gremlins. You figured them out, and y'all have put together a phenomenal team of esports drivers, man. What's going through your mind? I know you're not the winner, but Win Racing's got to be having a special night tonight for sure here at Virtual Phoenix.
Yeah, I couldn't be any more proud of this team and the effort that these guys put out and the job that they do on the racetrack to come across the line 1, 2, 3, and 4. I wasn't going to give the podium to Toby. I was going to make him earn it. He was a little better than me at the end there, but just proud, man. Just it's been a long day and a long week. I just switched to a new PC. I just updated all my stuff and getting everything working together has been a challenge. And I've been on the road 850 miles today. I got up at 2 a.m. and went to Idaho. So just to sit here and talk to you guys right now is awesome. So, yeah, I'm stoked. I'm proud of Ryan. I'm proud of Toby. I'm proud of Dennis and the job they did tonight.
Yeah, indeed. How would you describe, though, the transition as the race went on from some of the struggles it seemed early to being able to find that grip in the late stages of the sunset?
Yeah, my teammate, they put in some time this week that I didn't have. I ran 2 20-lap stints, and that was it. My truck just got super, super free over a run, and I was just trying to chase getting it tightened up enough to where I can drive it. But obviously, Ryan and Dennis and Toby, who had some laps on this set, you saw what they did with it. So, yeah, I mean, to me, it was just trying to get the truck underneath me. That was my challenge all night.
Well, Kevin, we're going to let you go to bed because you sound like you're very exhausted for sure. Man, you've overcome a lot, man. What does it mean? Take off next Monday, then the run to the championship begins. Obviously, 4 straight weeks before the playoffs begin on September 11th, no doubt. Man, what's it going to take for Kevin Smith to at least get one of those wins needed to try to put yourself into the postseason, if not by points in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in good position in a few races this year, and it just, either, get taken out or technical, gremlins, whatnot. I feel like I've got some speed. I've been working a little bit on long run speed. That's, Dennis and Ryan have really been working with me on trying to get, my speed to last throughout the run. And, there's a path to getting on points, but I don't want to do that. I want to win one of these races and get in that way. So, yeah, I mean, just keep putting myself in a position, have the technology be stable, and just be around at the end to try to capture one of these wins.
Sponsors, man, big win and a top 4 for Win Racing. Again, a monumental night, man. I know you're the guy that's behind it.
Yeah, so just obviously CLICKIT RV. We, anyone in the market for, a travel trailer or motorhome or, Class C, something like that, Class A, just, look us up. We've got great inventory. We'd love to help you. Obviously, LSRTV, you guys do a great job in the series. Sean and Jeff just do a fantastic job putting the series on. And Bomb Speed, the speed shop. A lot of work goes into these these sets and these races, and this team just puts that time in. And Ryan and Dennis and Toby, everybody contributes, and it's just you can see when it comes together what we can do on the racetrack.
Well, Kevin, thank you very much. I'm going to call an audible here. We normally don't do this, but this is an historic time for Win Racing with a 1 through 4. Toby Ritter's, we decided to bring you in on the podium, 4th place. But, man, what's your take of this race? And it seems like you just continue to get better and better and better week in, week out. And I know this has got to be a real achievement in your iRacing career to be a part of something like this for Win Racing 1 through 4 at Phoenix tonight. Toby Ritters, are you there? Okay. I guess Clifford is not available for talking, so we'll bounce him back out. Let's go to the runner-up of this race and grab second place man, Dennis Moore. Dennis, I said this. You will still leave Phoenix with the points lead. Though Ryan Bloom has more wins than you, you continue to be consistent week in, week out. Obviously, this is a great thing, a trending continuing down the run to the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to keep up with Ryan and wins, but consistent finishes are always good. Keep the momentum going toward the playoffs and see what happens from there.
Talk us about the decision to try and change up the strategy a bit, take the tires there. What was that charge like to try and figure out, is this going to be enough to beat Bloom with the 10-lap fresher tires?
Well, honestly, we're just doing the opposite of what Ryan did. I had to follow Dan in, make sure he wasn't the only one in the field with fresh tires. So just a little strategy call there between the teammates, and see what happens. But we knew the tires plateaued after about 20 laps, and by the time I got to Ryan, I think it was 15 or 12 or 15 laps into the run, and then dirty air plays a factor. I couldn't get around him when I was faster, and even then I was only a tenth faster. Ryan was just unbelievable at this track this week. All week long he was, pulling me by 2-3 seconds over 20 laps, and then we'd even out, but it's just too late to catch him there.
Dennis, segue this with your sponsors. What does it mean to you to see where Win Racing's come so quickly with this package, and then, of course, a top 4 finish for you guys?
Yeah, I'm super proud of everybody. We've worked really hard on these setups. Ryan's kind of the aero guy. I'm the field guy, and Toby is the shock guy, and he does an outstanding job with that. Kevin, he's a speed guy. He tells us how to get fast, and that's where we go from it. But the sponsors, obviously, CLICKIT RV, call Kevin, head up there and see if you guys get a trailer from him. Everybody with LSRTV, and then obviously Win Racing.
There you go. There's the thoughts of Dennis Moore, the Win Racing number 44 for Bomb Speed. Will leave tonight at Legacy Phoenix with a week off next Monday in preparation for the 4-week stretch before the run to the playoffs and the quest for a championship tonight. Still is the points leader. And we go down to victory lane with another teammate for Win Racing. He picks up now his 3rd win in the last 4 weeks, 5th win of the year, carrying momentum for this team, Ryan Bloom. Justin kind of hit it on it perfectly. Though there was a lot of action going on behind the races, your truck just seemed like it was in another world. You had some competition a couple of times, but once things settled back in with restarts, that 25 was just in a class of its field. Congratulations to you. Win 5 on the year here at Phoenix.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Just honestly, just a great team effort to finish 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've been close before, but I mean, I couldn't get the amount of wins I've had this year without these guys. All put in a ton of time and just great teammate, great support. It's been a lot of fun, and great team win tonight. As far as the race goes, yeah, I was worried like what happened. We were a little too loose, getting off a corner. Just didn't have a lot of drive off, so we had to, made an adjustment on that first pit stop, and that kind of hooked it up a little bit, and I was able to get that drive off I needed. I know we were really good in the center, the turn, and just need that extra drive off, and so yeah, it all came together there after the first pit stop, and I was a little worried there at the end with the pit strategy, but yeah, I've been here before on the old tires and trying to hold off fresher tires, so it was something I've kind of been used to now this year, especially on like 3 of the wins. I think it kind of came down to that, so just that extra experience and being in that position just always helps.
Well, when it comes to the speed, what in turn were you able to find to be able to find that tempo? Better yet, to find that rhythm that you had where your teammates even said you were quicker than them over 20 laps by 3 seconds.
I don't know. I really like this track. I think it's always been kind of one of my better tracks. And, one of the things I always fight in the past is getting tight in the center. So I really want to make an effort to make sure it turned, it's a little loose, but still had drive off. So that was kind of a challenge, but I think we were able to pull that off. We had a really good turn in the center, carried a lot of speed, and like I said, I just need that extra little bit of a adjustment to tighten it up a little bit on the pit stop, and I was kind of out front from there and just hit my marks and do my thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, as we approach what will be 1 week off until the run to the playoffs, man, what's your mindset now preparing to go against all these guys for sure, and making a run to a championship for no doubt as well?
Oh, just got to keep grinding. These guys in our league. LSRTV, Beaver State. There's a bunch of talented guys, and they're going to probably step up their game and try to outrace us. So just got to keep on our game, keep grinding, and not get complacent. Just look forward to the playoffs and trying to get that championship.
By the way, points have just updated and they become official here now as we prepare for the week off. Dennis Moore will continue to hold on to the points lead by 24 points over Ryan Bloom with his 5th win, 7 poles, 8 top 5s, and 11 top 10s. But Ryan, in closing, what does it mean to you to join Toby Ritters, Kevin Smith, and of course Dennis Moore as Win Racing's top 4, 1 through 4 finishes in a pretty historic night? I kind of use the cliche, the 97 Daytona 500 when Hendrick Motorsports finished 1 through 3. It's kind of what happened here tonight at Phoenix.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I just think it just goes to show how well of a team we are, support, how well we work together, and it just, like I said, it's just a great team victory. I wouldn't be here without these guys, so I really appreciate all the effort they put into it, and it's just I'm really happy we were able to pull it off.
Very special night again for the driver. Again, the driver, Ryan Bloom, his 5th win this year, 3 wins in the last 4 weeks. And as we have the off week next Monday, he continues to hold on to 2nd place in the point standings as Dennis Moore continues to stay in that top spot as we approach 4 races left in the run to make the Fast 12 to go to the playoffs. Let's get out of the pit lane. James Vining, great job in your pit road debut. Your final take of tonight's race at Phoenix.
It was awesome. It almost made me kind of wish I was out there running. That was a really good race, and I am very impressed with Win Racing and with Ryan. But then again, remember, Ryan was a 2021 ARCA champion, so kind of expected him to just keep getting better.
Justin Prince, your final take of this race, bud. We have a week off, and then we prepare for those final 4 races to prepare for the run to the playoffs. And here's once again your Virginia811.com. Call before you dig caution summary. 3 cautions for 12 laps and 6 lead changes.
Well, to say the very least, domination station for Bloom. I think now, though, the drivers really solidifying what we expect to close out this run to the playoffs. It's going to be the huge, huge question, I think, more so. Who's going to be the best setup builders in the garage in this series to close it out?
An historic night for Win Racing, 1 through 4. Ryan Bloom gets his 5th win of the year. And again, we have a week off before we return back to racing at Indianapolis in 2 weeks, of course, after the July 31st break. For the next Gen 4 card, that will debut Wednesday night. Jason Rockefeller and myself will be on the call for that. That launches here again at Legacy Phoenix. As always, follow us at livesimracing.com and at wearecrn.com. For everybody at Rocket Racing Media and LSRTV, for Justin Prince, and of course for James Vining, this is Wesley Outland, Cody Deemers, Charles Wooten, Jeff Stabnow, our producers and directors. We thank you for joining us as Ryan Bloom picks up the win tonight for his 5th win of the year. Remember, we're off next Monday. We will return in 2 weeks. Good night from